What's up, guys? Luke here from Spotlight on Spurs, and today we're going to be discussing this man's future and what is next for Son Heung-Min. Now, there's been plenty of rumours in recent weeks regarding his future. Is he going to stay at Spurs, or is it the perfect time for all parties for him to depart? He's always insisted that he's not a legend at this football club until he wins a trophy, and as you can see from the picture here, he obviously got us over the line this season. With one season left on his contract, potentially rumours of Saudi bids as well, does it just make sense for all parties for Son to leave Tottenham Hotspur Football Club? Now, he came out and made a statement recently while he was on international duty, and here is what he said. So for now, I think it's right to wait rather than say anything here since my contract remains. Many people, including reporters and fans, are very curious. Rather than thinking about the future, I think it's better to wait and see what happens in my current position. No matter where I am, I'm still a player who has always done my best and worked hard, so I think I should do well. This seems to be the closest indication from Son that he would be willing to leave Tottenham Hotspur since his first year, I believe. When he came to Spurs, he wasn't playing as regular as he liked. He struggled to settle slightly, and it was only with a big sit-down meeting with Pochettino where he convinced him to stay on and kind of ride out the negative situation he was in. And he's gone from strength to strength ever since. So, as I said, it looks like he's open to the idea of leaving. You've got clubs circulating, willing to offer some money for someone who is going to turn 33 before the season starts. Obviously has huge commercial input and value at Spurs. But what I wanted to do just to start this video off, because it's happened quite regularly with quite a few of our players, we as Tottenham Hotspur don't sell players at the correct time. We hold on to them far too long. And then what that starts happening is their status and what they've done for the club gets overshadowed by some of the poor performances that you potentially see. And I feel like that's kind of happened to Son a little bit. I think we are forgetting just how much of a legend this man is at our football club. So what I wanted to do is just start off and just go over some stats and some figures and everything else in terms of what this man has achieved at this football club. And then we'll move on and we'll look at some stats from this season compared to potentially his replacement, who a lot of fans want in Erebechi Eze. So in terms of the Premier League, so Son for me is not only a Tottenham legend, he's also a Premier League legend as well. And there are a lot of stats and facts and figures that kind of back that up. So if we just go along to the, here we go. Oh. So Son is currently 98th on the list of all-time Premier League appearances. So there is only 97 players that have actually appeared in the Premier League more times than Son has. And as you can see, if he was to have stayed one more year, he's probably looking at getting into, let's say he plays 25 games, he would be potentially in the top 80. So this is a player that obviously didn't start his career at Spurs, but he's made it into that bracket of being in the top 100, which is an absolutely sensational statistic. Going more into it from being obviously an attacking player, if you was to go to the most assists in the Premier League era, he sits in the top 20. He's currently 17th with 71. So again, we're talking about ridiculous numbers, longevity as well. So he's in the top 20. So he's in the top 100 appearance and top 20 for assists. And then if you go to the goals and you look here, again, in the top 20, sitting joint 16th with Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. And when you start looking at some of the names that are actually above him, other than Frank Lampard, and potentially you could argue a Salah as well, everybody else is a centre forward. And also quite a lot of them would have been the main player in that team. So the whole team would have been geared around getting ex-player goals. So your Alan Shearers, Wayne Rooney was slightly different. He was just an absolute phenomenon. Sergio Aguero, it was all geared to get him goals. Henry was obviously a main sort of player. Defoe was the main player at a variety of different clubs. But Son was always second fiddle in some aspects to Harry Kane. This squad and this team was built around Harry Kane, and Son did benefit from that. There's no doubt about it, because some of Kane's strengths were strengths of Son's, or what Kane was good at would also help Son out. But to be in the top 20 goal scorers in the whole of the Premier League ever is an absolutely ridiculous feat for a player, especially when you consider that recent years we obviously haven't been as strong. We had a patch of where we was quite competitive in the league, but this isn't a player that's competing at the top level week in, week out, and basically challenging for major honours. Going on from that, Spurs actually released a great piece, which I'm not sure whether some of you would have seen, but they basically just went through his Tottenham career and kind of went through some stats and facts and figures. And some of them are absolutely incredible. So starting off, he's only one of 13 captains at the football club to lift the major trophy, which in itself can push you up to legendary status. When you look at some of the names that are here, Blanchflower, McKay, Peters, Perryman, Roberts, Mabbott, and Ledley King, of course, as well. 20 plus goal involvement. So he's had 20 plus goal involvement in all competitions every single season since 2016-2017, which is just absolutely incredible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So for 9 seasons on the trot, he's managed to hit them numbers, which again is just absolutely ridiculous. You can see that, as I said, the numbers have slightly petered off in terms of goals and assists. Last year obviously played slightly different in his in the system. However, you can see there has been a sort of decline recently in terms of where he was at. In terms of the goals, so 198 Premier League goal involvements. So it's just obviously too shy of that 200 mark, and that would make him only the 13th player in the Premier League to actually reach that. In terms of his assists, so most he's ever achieved in the Premier League is 10. This season he hit 9, and again, just looking at absolutely incredible. Darren Anderton was our top assist maker in the Premier League, and Son has this season overtaken him. In terms of appearances, once again, unbelievable longevity, loyalty, however you want to put it. Son is now up to 454 appearances in all competitions. That saw him overtake Harry Kane and Hugo Lloris. He's only the 7th player to reach 450 in all competitions. And obviously there's a list there of the top 10, with him sitting at 7th, I believe. So you've got Perryman, Mabbott, Jennings, Knowles, Hoddle, and then Son. Yet again, just in absolute legendary company there. In terms of the Premier League, he's 2nd, just behind Hugo Lloris. Once again, if he was to stay one more year, there is a potential. If he was to play 28 games, he would draw level. So if he had a 30-game season next year, he would probably be our all-time Premier League appearance record. In terms of European appearances, he's currently 3rd, sitting 5 behind Harry Kane. Sonny is closing in on our all-time great Martin Chivers on our all-time goal-scoring list. So this is all-time goal-scoring list, the top 10 here for Tottenham Hotspur. Harry Kane obviously sitting top recently, going past the legendary Jimmy Greaves, Martin Chivers, and you also got Son there as well. So Son again sits 5th on that list. In terms of the Premier League, he's the 2nd top goal scorer in our Premier League history, beating the likes of Sheringham, Defoe, Keane, Val, even Dele Alli being up there as well. European goal scorers, again, Harry Kane is by far and away here the top scorer, but Son again is there in 2nd. So just some of these stats, and then obviously that solo goal that was scored for the Puskas Award, which was vintage Son. absolutely brilliant running from his own half. How Jan Vertonghen got an assist for that is absolutely brilliant. But they're just some of the numbers and the figures that just show you just how much of a brilliant player this guy has been for Tottenham Hotspur. And it's really disappointing to see that recent years, the ever so small decline or drop off that we have witnessed has kind of marred some of his legacy. Moving on, we're going to look at some of the stats and some of the figures from season upon season at Tottenham Hotspur. So he came in the 2015-2016 season. So in terms of matches played, he's again quite a reliable figure in terms of how many games he would play. So this is in the Premier League. So the stats you see on screen are Premier League games. So in terms of matches, he's never played less than 28, and that was his first season. And again, it wasn't as he wasn't as consistent. He definitely grew into Tottenham after that season, where you can see where he's only made 13 starts. But to appear on a consistent basis, at least 30 games, is obviously again a great achievement. As we said, the first season was very, very difficult for him, but after that, he managed to get 10 goals in every single season, bar this year. And then with the assists, again, he's always roughly managed around 6-7 mark. With on 3 occasions he did reach 10, with 9 being it today. So you look at the goals and assists. So in his first proper season, he hit 20, in 18, 21, 27, 30, 16. So there was quite a big drop off there. Then last season it went up quite drastically, back up to the 27, which is roughly about where he's sort of been at for the few years previous. And then obviously it dropped back down again this season. Now, a lot of that could be down to the tactics, the way that he's been played. He was more of a winger this year than he was an inside forwards, which he'd played previously. But if you was to just sit back and look at the numbers, to get 16 goals or assists in 30 games is pretty decent numbers. Now, I think for a lot of Spurs fans, where their kind of where their problems have been this year is his ability to beat a man, or his confidence in attempting to beat a man. You kind of remember Son being the player that was A, being able to beat players, but 2, being able to just cut inside and get a shot off. And it just seems that, again, whether it's an injury, whether it's part of the tactics, whether it's just the age, he doesn't seem to have that sharpness in his legs to be able to just beat a man and get away from them, and then obviously get that potential shot off or whatever that may be. And it is disappointing. It is frustrating. I would love Son to be able to be an impact player at Spurs. I think now that we're at the Champions League and where we want to go, I'm not sure whether Son is the player that should be starting for us week in, week out. But I think for his experience, I think for the ability that he has, I mean, he's probably still the best finisher at the club. There's no doubt about that. I just think that this is a player that potentially needs to just have more of an impact on the game. And I'm not doubting his ability, but it's maybe from a physical aspect. And obviously Frank will come in and he'll make his own adjustments, and will he be able to get the team catered around Son a little bit more, if he can get legs around him, for instance, if he can get him closer to the goal. Frank had played a tactic where you would have a striker with sort of 2 10s or 2 inverted forwards, and that might bring the best out of Son if you're able to kind of get players around him and the legs around him. But these numbers are still very, very good, and that is a very key part of it. I mean, if he's scoring goals, he's getting assists, I think it's going to come down to where Son is at. Is he in a situation where he's decided it's now time to go? I mean, he's not going to bail out on a better time, is he? Let's face it, to go and win trophy season upon season is not something Spurs have done. So you wouldn't expect us to go and win a trophy next year. So is it perfect timing for him? And I think the club should let Son almost make that decision if he's decided that it's time for him to go. He's not been a player that's ever really spoken about where he would really want to go. A lot of players will say they want to go back to their hometown club or the first club they ever played for. Son doesn't seem to have ever really said that. It's always mainly been staying at Spurs. So is the interest in Saudi, is that something he's interested in? I mean, if he was to go out to Saudi, he would, from a commercial standpoint, would be absolutely ridiculous, although he already is that now. So it is quite interesting to see what sort of happens. And then obviously the bid that would come in as well. I mean, if it goes to Saudi, you're probably talking about some sort of an inflated fee. I think if you get around the 30 to 40 million pound mark, that half gets you, say, a potential Eze or a Semenyo, something like that. Obviously, we should have money to spend on top of that as well. So I think they're the two big things. It's who comes in and what they offer, and really what Son's motivation. Does he genuinely believe that he can compete at the top level in European football still? Is he accepting of maybe more of a squad role at Spurs? And the other thing is the leadership group at Spurs. There's obviously potential about Romero going and etc. So can we afford to kind of split up even more of what we had as our leadership group? Do we not need to keep these sort of players around? It's a really interesting question. I'd love to know your views on Son. How big of a legend do you think he is? Do you think he should stay? And then what do you think the club will do? That's all we've got time for today. I really, really appreciate you staying around. If you could like, comment, and of course, subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 1K subscribers, which is absolutely ridiculous for a channel that's only been going for a few months. I think Son is one of the biggest legends Tottenham Hotspur has ever seen. I don't think we will see a player as loyal as Son has been for us, possibly in my lifetime. Loyal is definitely gone out the window. There's not many players that stick around for such a long period of time, especially at a club they didn't grow up supporting. But I'm interested to know your views. Put them in the comment section below. And as always, come on, you Spurs.